Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia, and you might be able to tell from my voice, and also just I might do some sniffling, but I'll try to cut it out. But I have been kind of sick yesterday, so I apologize if I sound kind of congested and weird, but that aside, today we're going to be doing a review of the Kobo Libra Color. This is the e-reader that I got for Christmas, and I thought it would be helpful to do a review for you guys in case you were considering getting this e-reader, or I think a lot of what I'll probably have to say probably goes for most Kobos, so just e-readers in general, I suppose. Well, Kobos in general. Alright, so as I said, this is the Kobo, oh my god, Libra Color. This is it outside of the case. I'll take some more close-up videos, but just for the sake of, for this section, it has a 7-inch display. They call it the e-ink Kaleido 3 display. So then the actual device is probably more like 8 inches or so diagonally, just for your information. And I will note that this is the color one, but as you can kind of see, the colors on this display are relatively muted, and it's not as like bright as colors you would see like on a phone screen, which is kind of because of course it is designed to be less harsh on your eyes over time, so the whole kind of thing is a little bit more muted. The screen is not as like glaringly bright as like a phone screen or as saturated, and that's all kind of part of why you can look at it for longer without feeling eye strain. Now the device feels pretty good in the hand. It's very light. You can definitely hold it with one hand and read, even with like the case on. The case weighs at least as much as the actual device. Like, I've had it in the case the whole time, so now holding it without it on, I'm like, wow, this is really light. So if you want it to be even more lightweight, you could take the case off if you have the case, that is, which of course makes it good for traveling because, it doesn't take up a lot of space or weight in your bag. And I also have the stylus here. I don't know exactly which stylus this is. Like, I think it's probably the newer one, like number 2, I think they are on. And I will say the magnet that holds it to the case is quite strong. I never feel like I'm gonna just like lose the pen or anything. So that is good. And for this model, you'll notice that we have 2 buttons here on the side. And initially I didn't think that I would ever use these. They're for page forward and page back, and you can switch which one does which. However, they actually are very convenient if you're like laying on your side in bed and you're just like holding it like this with your hand resting on the bed, because you can just press page forward, page forward, page forward. You only have to move your hand if you want to like press page back, but if you have bigger hands, you might be able to press them both. So actually the buttons, sleeper hit there, they are actually more useful than I thought they would be, because otherwise you need to like swipe to change the page. And it feels overall pretty well constructed. Like I said, it is very light, so you're not getting like heavy duty materials, but they do feel pretty durable for what they are. And according to the website, they are made with recycled and ocean-bound plastics, and the device is waterproof, though I will not be testing that anytime soon. But like, it's good to know that if you're reading in the bath and you happen to drop it, it's not the end of the world. Maybe just, put it with the port facing down, let it dry out a little bit, and you'll be okay. Of course, there's like, it's not really like waterproof. There's only like a certain amount of time and a certain amount of depth. But assuming you're not planning on reading underwater, I think the waterproofness of it will be more than sufficient for the everyday person's needs. I love their use of recycled plastic, and another thing that I love is that when I was looking on their website, just kind of gathering specs and information for this video, I found out that they actually, not all of the models, but like the newer ones, they have made purposefully to be repairable. So you can go to this website that is linked, it's like they're partnered, whatever, it's called iFixit, and you can get guides there for fixing it, as well as buy kits that have everything you need to do the repair yourself. And so not every single little part can be repaired, but you can change the screen. I believe you can replace the case itself and the motherboard, I think. So that's always good for extending the life of your product, and like no companies make products specifically to be repaired anymore, so it is nice to see somebody doing that. I have to say I really appreciate that, and even if there were no other reason for me to buy a Kobo over a Kindle, having that would probably sell me on it. And then in terms of the cover, It also feels pretty durable and sturdy. And I have to say that it has stayed pretty clean, despite the fact that I like shove it in my dirty backpack to go to work all the time. Like, pretty clean. Like, a few little specks, but overall, it seems to be relatively dirt repellent. And so far, not damaged. Oh, there's a tiny little scuff in the leather, but that's it. And yeah, I like it. There's not too much to say about the cover. It does its job, keeps it safe. It's the sleep cover, so when you close this, it goes to sleep. Saves some battery. So in general, the reading experience on this is quite good, I would say. The screen doesn't strain my eyes like a phone screen would, and it definitely feels more like kind of papery in vibe when you're looking at it. You can also adjust the brightness to make it more comfortable for you just by like sliding up and down. I don't think it works when I'm just on the home screen. Let me open a book. All right, you can also change the brightness by like sliding up and down here, which I didn't realize at first. I discovered this on accident. So that's nice to know. So you can make it a little more personalized for you. And as I said, it's lighter, but it's also more like maneuverable than a normal book. So, because with a normal book, you have to be worried about holding it open and stuff. And so with something like this, like, it doesn't stay open if I just lay it out flat. However, obviously with this, I don't have to worry about that. So it's really nice for eating, if you like to read while you're eating, because obviously if you have to hold it open and then you're trying to use your like knife and fork, it never works. Sometimes I like put my phone on my book to hold it open, but then you have to move it and it's all a huge hassle. But with this, obviously that's not a problem. You can just press the button, the page changes, and if you like splatter some food, you know, maybe you're having soup, it splashes, you can just wipe it off. It doesn't work that way with paper, but yeah. So this has definitely been a game changer in terms of the reading while eating situation, and it also unlocks more positions, as I was saying. This is gonna sound really weird. It also unlocks more reading positions, as I was saying, if you're like laying in bed, because you can just hold it with one hand and you don't have to worry about holding the other side of the book. It's very good. I definitely recommend it for that. And it also has a like day-night mode, so it's supposed to get gradually more orange over the day, but I feel like it usually just like all at once goes from being like normal and then it's just like the orange tone. I don't think it does it gradually. All right, and then one of the main reasons to go with a Kobo over a Kindle, other than the fact that we hate Amazon.
Hello, it is Editing Amelia here. So I filmed this a while ago, and since then, obviously all the stuff with Kindle and Amazon revoking your right to download your books has gone down. So that is, of course, an additional consideration you're gonna need to make if you're trying to decide between a Kobo and a Kindle right now. I guess originally, I'm not super familiar with this because I am new to the e-reader game and I haven't actually bought any audiobooks, but originally you could download and back up your books and they're removing your right to do so. So you could theoretically lose access to your book, because if they lose their license for that book or just decide to get rid of it from their catalog, even though you've bought it, it can disappear from your library, and if you're not able to download and back it up to secure it against this, then whatever you buy is just at the whims of Amazon to remove. Now, I think theoretically, sort of the same thing can apply to Kobo, where they're paying for a license, and if they stop paying for the license, then if you don't have your book downloaded, you could also lose it, but they still have the ability for you to download your books, back them up elsewhere. It's possible they'll get rid of that in the future. I think they'd be dumb to do that right now. I think the plan right now would probably, if I was in their shoes, would be to lean into the fact that people are mad at Kindle/Amazon for this and like double down on the fact that you can download your books and you can bring them over here. So yeah, I don't know where that's gonna go. I'm not gonna speak super in depth on it because I'm not super familiar with the whole Kindle ecosystem, and I'm not the most knowledgeable about what's going on there. There's obviously a lot of videos on that already, so if you want to know more, I recommend checking them out. Plant-Based Bride did a pretty good one. I enjoyed that. But other than that, just another thing to consider if you're looking at buying a Kobo. So yeah, let's get back to the review.
Is library integration. So from what I understand, you can't use Canadian libraries on Kindle. So Kobo is going to be your kind of only choice if you want an e-reader that lets you access your library, but it has access to Overdrive, so you can search your library's catalogs, see your holds, place new holds, all that kind of stuff. So it's very convenient to be able to access your library's catalog without actually having to go there. And the good thing about having ebooks is you can delay your hold. So if you're not ready for it just then, you can like let the next person read it or delay it for 2 weeks or a month or even longer. And so you don't end up having what I will sometimes get if I have placed a bunch of holds and then you have to pick up all the physical books at once. You're like, okay, well, I only have like 2 weeks, maybe a bit longer. Some of these don't have lines to read all these at once, but this, you can just delay them, which is nice. And I tend to place holds like all in one go, like a bunch of them at once. And I don't know why I do this, but I always do. So this is very helpful for me for dealing with when I do that. I've already used that feature a lot. But my main problem with the device is that the syncing with the library is not very good. So sometimes I will go to return a book and it will say connecting to overdrive, and it'll just keep saying that and it will never actually connect. And there's also no way to exit that screen, so I'll have to power cycle the whole device, and then if I try it again after I power cycle it, then it works fine, no problem. Like, I don't really know what the deal with that is. And additionally, if I borrow a book through the Libby app on my phone, it only sometimes will sync to this. The first time I did it, it synced. I just had to like run the sync cycle, I think like twice. The second time, wouldn't show up at all. I even logged out on this device, logged back in, and then resynced, and it still didn't show up. So I just returned it to the library and placed a new hold. So I definitely recommend that if you're placing holds like through your phone through Libby, don't borrow them on your phone, borrow them on the device just to avoid any problems with syncing, because it doesn't seem to be that reliable if you have borrowed it through Libby. All right, and then in terms of battery, I did do a little bit of a test to see how the battery life on this thing holds up. And I unplugged the Kobo on January 14th, 12:44 p.m. at 100% battery. And next plugged it in on January 23rd, 8:40 in the morning at 3% battery. And so during that time, I spent 14 hours and 11 minutes reading and 13 minutes using the notebook feature. So depending on how much you use it, you're probably looking at charging it about once a week or so, which, you know, I think that's a pretty decent battery life for something like this. Charge it like every Sunday or something, unless of course you read more. All right, and then as I just mentioned, it does have a notebook feature. So you have two options for the notebooks, which is freeform writing, just with the pen, you just, you know, write on the page. And then there's also the handwriting to text option, where you would write something out and then it will convert it to text. And actually this works a lot better than I was expecting. I was thinking that it was not going to be very good, but it is pretty good. And then you could also export stuff to Google Drive. So if you write something out on here, you can get it on your computer or your phone or wherever else you want to have it. One thing I will say is that from what I can tell, this pen is sold separately. I didn't buy it, as I said, it was a Christmas gift, but I'm pretty sure this comes still sold separately. And there's no way to use the notebook without the pen. Like, you can't just like write with your finger. So I don't love that, because it's like a whole feature that you can't use unless you buy this separate product. So that kind of irritates me, I will say. I think the pen should just come with it, especially since like the whole shtick of this device specifically is like the notebook, and then also like you can have like color annotations, so like you can like highlight stuff and like annotate the books. So I think that they should come together. That's just my opinion. And then additionally with the notebook feature, there's a bunch of like different backgrounds you can choose. So like different like layouts and lines and stuff, so you can use it for like a TBR or even as a reading journal or whatever else you want to use it for. So far I've used it for keeping track of the screen time when I was doing the battery test. I've got a meal plan in here, and also I did part of my review for Win and Truth on this, just on the bus on the way to work. So overall, should you buy the Libra color and or just a Kobo in general? I think overall that it is a good device, despite the issues with internet connectivity and like the sync not always working, and how annoyed I am that the pen is sold separately. I think if you get a lot of books from your library, but you're not necessarily that close to your library, it's definitely a good way to go, because you can obviously get the books on the e-reader without having to go to your library. So if you live in like a small town or something like that, or perhaps it's hard for you to get to your library, whether that's because you have issues traveling or whatever else, then definitely recommend this as a way to access your library. In terms of the actual Kobo e-store, I haven't really used that yet. I did notice when I was looking that one of the ebooks that I was interested in, it was like $20. It's like, excuse me? $20 for a silly little PDF of a book? I'm not okay with that kind of pricing. Most of them I think are around like $10, which I still think is kind of expensive for what it is, but $20 is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I can buy a normal book for $20. Like, not like a nice like trade paperback, but I could get like something like this for $20. Let me see, this was actually $12. So you're telling me I can buy a full ass book? You know what, let me check what the ebook for this book costs. Okay, so here's something kind of annoying. The ebook for this book is $3. That's fine, I'm good with that price. The second book is $7. And the third book is $12. Because they know they've got you. If you're looking at the third book, they're like, all right, you've already read the first two. You're going to be willing to pay more each time. That's really annoying. They should all be the same price. Wow, that kind of aggravates me. I definitely recommend this more as a library book device than a buy an ebook device. Unless you like that kind of thing. But wow, that's kind of a scam. I hate that. Wow. Okay, the device is good. Business practices, other than like the recycled plastic and fixing of the device, the business practices, they know how to make money, I guess. That's all I can say about that. Anyway, yeah, so that is my review of the Kobo Libra Color. Wow, I don't know why that's such a tongue twister. I think it's a good device. I enjoy reading on it. Whether or not it's going to be worth your money, it really depends on your kind of life. If you're considering it, but you're thinking it's a little bit too expensive, then definitely just go for the black and white one. It's nice to have color, but I don't think that it's like the end all be all. I don't think it's necessary. And unless you're going to be using the notebook or highlighting, or maybe you're reading like some graphic novels, then I don't think the color is something that you need to worry about too much. But I really enjoy using it. And so if you've been looking for an e-reader, I do recommend that you go with the Kobo over the Kindle if you live in Canada, just in terms of using the library. But that is all that I have for you today, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.